Trick or treat! I'm Justin Root from The Justin Root Show, and since today is Halloween, I wanted to give the Hollywood Reporter and their followers a horror-themed filming location tour. So kick back, get comfortable, but whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Do you live here?
Nobody lives here.
My favorite horror franchise, hands down, is the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and Heather Langenkamp and Johnny Depp's Elm Street address is actually just one block off the bustling Sunset Strip in the heart of Hollywood.
If any of you will spend the next 12 hours in this house, I'll give you each $10,000.
Built in 1924 by Frank Lloyd Wright, the Ennis House sold last year for $18 million and can also be seen in Blade Runner, Karate Kid 3, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Located in Griffith Park, the Bat Caves have been a very popular location for filming sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. And if you want a real-life horror fact, a man's head was discovered nearby in a grocery bag by a lady walking her dog in 2012. The Friday the 13th franchise barely used LA for filming, but in Part 5, this diner makes an appearance, and you're likely to spot Jay Leno here showing off one of his toys to the hundreds of bikers who frequent the spot. Most recently, it was seen in Ryan Murphy's Ratchet. It took a Pacific Palisades High School football field, the front of a San Fernando middle school, and the Hermosa Beach Community Center to create one fictional high school in the Brian De Palma Stephen King masterpiece, Carrie. And John Travolta provided blood courtesy of Farmer John's and Vernon. Before she was Olivia Benson on Law & Order, Mariska Hargitay shot Ghoulies at the Waddles Mansion, built in 1907 and open to the public. Also open to the public, the 1899 Doheny Mansion appears as a Pasadena mansion in Drag Me to Hell, but actually sits on the southwest edge of downtown LA. Wes Craven used Butterfly McQueen's old house, which oddly enough sits next door to her Gone with the Wind co-star Hattie McDaniel's old house. The 1908 Rosenheim Mansion around the corner is featured in a lot of scary stuff. X-Files, Bones, Dexter, 6 Feet Under, Twilight Zone, but it's most known as the American Horror Story house. If you visit the Psycho House at Universal Studios, make sure you drive by the still-active dealership that Janet Leigh drives to on Lankershim Boulevard. Also on Lankershim is the remnants of Phil's Diner, seen in The X-Files and Night of the Creeps.
They're here.
June of 1982 became known as the Summer of Spielberg because both E.T. and Poltergeist were released, and this house plays an integral role in the film's plot.
This house is clean.
The 1887 Victorian mansion used in-house was declared a Monrovian landmark in 1996. The sequel, starring Bill Maher, was shot at the Stimson House, built in 1891. The house actually sits on the same property as the Doheny Mansion. The late Kelly Preston filmed here at Van Nuys High School in John Carpenter's adaptation of the Stephen King novel Christine. That's about a killer car! Probably the king of all horror movies, Halloween was shot primarily in Pasadena. And Michael Myers' house is about as well preserved as Laurie Strode's, played brilliantly by Jamie Lee Curtis. I get such a thrill showing you that the hedges where Laurie first sees Michael Myers are still intact. But if you want to see the two houses that participate in the sheer terror of the film, you'll have to go back to Hollywood. They're one block north of the Elm Street house. The Witch's House was built in 1921 on a film studio lot, but was moved to its current location in 1926, where it sits today nestled amongst some of Beverly Hills' nicest homes. It appeared in Roger Corman's The Undead, and Alicia Silverstone walks past it in Clueless. Chopping Mall was shot inside the Sherman Oaks Galleria, but the exterior shots were done right here at the West Hollywood landmark, the Beverly Center. Although it's obscure, I have to point out that 30 years after Death Spa was shot, there's an actual spa where the movie was filmed. So good luck. LA's Hancock Park is one of those neighborhoods just filled with so many lavish houses that really any of them can pass as any upscale town in America, which is probably why it's been used in so many Hollywood productions. John Carpenter's The Fog used the Laurel Canyon Country Store, where Jennifer Aniston briefly worked and where Mama Cass once lived. Another popular store, the El Adobe Market, just a couple miles away, serves as the occult store in the beloved film The Craft. The Scream movies came to Southern California when Part 2 used a Pasadena mansion to play a sorority house. And in Part 3, Liev Schreiber can be seen zipping all through Hollywood trying to save the girl at her West Hollywood apartment. Well, that concludes our tour. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what your favorite horror film is, or if you've ever visited a horror location. I'd love for you to follow me at The Justin Root Show for lots more fun location tours, and in the meantime, have a happy and safe Halloween.